with the hive, you're saying? Oh yeah, yeah. The new like the ones that usurped him was supposed to be the Red Legion. Well, okay, sorry. The ones that usurped him were like this. It was like this team of people, including Gaul and the Prime and Callus's daughter, and then the Red Legion is just the top military force that they have to offer. So, like, yes, us defeating the Red Legion is very significant to their empire. I just believe that they have like, you know, 8 billion other legions in the Bad Batch. Oh, the one in the raid. Well, they talk about it in the lore. I guess it was a failsafe designed by Clovis Bray that if anybody tried to steal his technology to create exos or something, that it would blow up Europa. And then I guess even though Clovis made that failsafe, he didn't want to do it, and so Elsie Bray was like, "Hey, yo, Clovis, you darn effed up, man, because the freaking Vex are coming and we can't stop them. And you need to turn off your gate, but we can't get to the gate because the Vex are coming out. So the only way to fix this is to use your failsafe, the space station, to blow up the space station." And um, so anyway, I guess when we went to go in, like, we spent the entire story with the stranger trying to like read up on all the Clovis Bray science information, his journal, and that led us to the location of the Deepstone Crypt. We get there, the Fallen are already using it, and they've made some exobodies themselves. And I guess now that we're interrupting them, they want to use the Morning Star to blow us up. I don't know why exactly, but that seems to be a thing. So when we are doing that encounter, we're actually negating the nuclear capacity of the Morning Star, and then the Morning Star itself still crashes into Europa. Just since it's no longer nuclear, it doesn't blow everything up. Oh, in yeah. So and then OG in the story, I sorry, kind of left that. It crashed where the final boss fight in the raid takes place. It's crashing down in the Assyrian Abyss. All that debris, all the gold stuff, that's the space station crashing. Nah, that's the debris of the space station. So, oh yeah. So anyway, so OG though, Clovis Bray, the Vex are flooding through the gate. This is like before the collapse, and Elsie, Clovis transfers his mind into an AI and into an Exo, and the AI I guess is not full on him. The Exo is, but then the Exo didn't transfer exactly properly because Exos don't always do that on the first go. And that Exo is Banshee, but the at the time it's called Clovis One, not Banshee One. And Elsie and the Exo decide, hey, we're not gonna nuke Europa, and we're not gonna do this thing that tells the Vex to go fight the other planets and leave us alone. We're going to close the Vex portal. So they upload Clovis One with like all this like Neo type training, and then they just throw endless waves of Exo, including Clovis One, at the Vex portal. And every time someone dies, they just reset them, which is why Clovis One gets rebooted, 30 times, 31 times, 32 times. And each time they reboot somebody, that reboot does not have the memories that the last one had, but I don't know how significant that is per se. Because it's not true EXO reboots like with Cade 6 and all these other people. It's like a literal reprint. Yeah, so yeah, yeah. So then, basically Clovis One, aka Banshee, he, in order to shut that Vex portal, which they eventually succeed on, he had to make 43 copies of himself. One went, fought, died. They made another one, went, fought, died. So he got up to 43, and they finally turn off the Vex gate, and they turn off the giant AI Clovis head that we've awoken, and the Clovis Exo still feels bad. He's like a more caring paternal grandfather. He feels bad that uh, Elsie views him, Clovis, as the reason for all this bad stuff, which she does, but just I don't think she necessarily views the Exo the same way as she did her grandfather. So he asks her to reset him one more time. Elsie is Elizabeth Bray, the stranger, the ex-stranger. Sorry, Elsie Elizabeth Bray, ex-stranger, is the granddaughter of Clovis Bray. Yeah. So she wasn't told to. She wanted to because or yeah, she would have rather blow up Europa in order to save the Earth and Mars and all these other planets of humans. And Clovis was like, "Hey, even though I built this safe, I don't want you to blow up my technology. I'd rather the Vex just go hunt down the people on Earth and Mars and leave us alone on Europa." Um, they were gonna do something. There was something in their plan that was like gonna convince the Vex to leave Europa alone. I don't know. Right. So then, right. Yeah. No, that's basically his mindset. So, yeah, Elsie was like, "Oh, well, I'll just anyway." Yeah. Well, she's also called Elsie, and Elsie's shorter. She's also Elsie. Yes. You did the story mode. But so then yeah, so Clovis 43 at that point is like, "Hey, I feel bad, granddaughter. Why don't you reset me one more time and call me Banshee?" And she does, and that's why we have Banshee 44. And right, because the EXO, yeah, he wanted to like forget some of that stuff, I guess. So that's why we have Banshee 44. That's why the Morning Star was built. That's why the Morning Star was not crashed into. That's how the Vex portal was turned off. And that's how Clovis AI was turned off. Stranger. Yes, along with Exo body fuckface. Because for whatever reason, Clovis made two copies of himself. Also confusing. Sorry, not body. Clovis Bray, grandfather, master scientist, creator of the Exo and Siva and some other stuff, Rasputin. He he turned because he was always trying to be the last common ancestor of all humanity or whatever, and he wanted to be like have the yeah he's the Vex really on like that's what I'm saying like you might be onto that there, but he built a body an exo body for himself and he built an AI copy of his consciousness as well. So that's weird, but that's what he did. And you're right. Like, why did the granddaughter do it? So I guess the granddaughter, it's the typical like, oh, granddaughter saw my way of things and then later saw how crazy I am and regrets having ever been on my side. So Elizabeth Ray, the ex-stranger, was like, hey, she wasn't the first, but she was eventually like, hey, I volunteer to be scanned into an exo grandfather for the sake of our science and protecting humanity and preserving humanity. And that's how she became an exo. Yeah, eventually, yeah. But anyway, I do think I'm gonna get off. I've already been on a lot longer than I intended. I'm gonna just read my book before I go to bed here. So I will.